that will be us. Good morning. As you're logging in, you're very welcome to this webinar with CEF and Queen's University. We have a lot of attendees this morning, so if you would allow us a moment, we'll just let everybody get logged in and then we'll make a prompt start. And again, good morning. As you're logging in, we have a lot of attendees this morning, so we're just going to allow another moment or two for everybody to get logged in, and then we will make a start. Thank you. We are going to make a start in about 1 minute, just allowing the last attendees to log in. Thank you very much. Okay, good morning. You're very welcome, and thanks for logging in this morning to this information session, which has been hosted by CEF, Construction Employers Federation, but being delivered by Queen's University Belfast. We're very delighted to be working with Queen's University in sharing this information with you. Very important issues in the construction industry in regards to shortage of skilled and talented people coming into the industry. So we're delighted to be working in partnership with Queen's and raising your awareness, if you're not already aware, of the MSc courses being run at Queen's, and for which there are tremendous opportunities for the industry to engage in providing internships and opportunities for the participants in those MSc courses. We have a presentation for you this morning, and we also very keen to get your questions during the webinar. Just in terms of housekeeping, the webinar is being recorded, and that's to allow us to share this information for those who couldn't make the event. So hopefully you're happy with that. And we would ask you during the session to raise questions through the button at the bottom of your screen, which says Q&A. You can tap your questions in there, and I will share those questions at the end of the session. So please feel free. You can ask those questions anonymously. We won't necessarily have to refer to who you are or your company. We're very happy to field the questions that are in that box towards the end of the presentation. If there are any issues during the presentation, you can also raise hand or send me a chat if you're having problems. But we hope you enjoy the presentation. With a number of speakers, I'll allow them to introduce themselves as we go through. But firstly, I will hand over to Professor David Rooney, who's the Dean of Internationalisation at Queen's, just to introduce the session. David, you're very welcome this morning, and thanks for working with us and our members in pulling together this presentation today.
Thank you very much, Mark, and let me just thank you as well for helping to organise this session today. I suppose I'll start with the thank yous. I'll just thank everybody who has actually joined us on the call to listen to the various different opportunities that are available at the minute around the MSc in construction and project management. And I do have a number of my colleagues from the university with me today to help answer any questions that you may have. My own specific role is really around internationalization and reputation, and that is within the Faculty of Engineering. and Physical Sciences, which is the faculty where this particular project and program is being run through. My colleague Wei Xia is also on the call. He is the Dean for Postgraduate Studies. I've also got some colleagues then from the school who actually deliver the course and are very well placed to answer then any of the questions that you have. So we have Stephen, Faris and Tara. And then of course, because we are also talking about international students, we do have some colleagues from the university, Helen, who can talk to the issues around international student recruitment and so on for those students. Overall, one of the reasons why, of course, myself and Wei are here is to demonstrate quite clearly that this does have faculty support, and the faculty are committed, as well as the university, to offering really the best opportunities to students. We are very keen to recruit the best talent from around the globe, to be able to educate them in things which are vital in terms of being able to take the country and nation and world forward. And we're very keen to be able to work with employers to enable those students to be able to come on and achieve success within their career. This particular program has been growing and has been operating for a number of years, and quite recently it has seen significant growth. So over the last number of years, we've had a number of people come on to the CPM course, and including a number of people who are on internship programs. It was reasonably steady for the first few years, but it has seen significant growth in the last year that you have, as you can see here in the 2021-22 figures, with over 60 students, for instance, essentially now looking for internships and going out to support regional industry from around both nationally and internationally as well. So with that, I'll just again maybe pass you on to the experts. So Stephen, if you want to then come in and brief us a little bit more about the program, that would be fantastic.
Thanks very much, David. I'm Stephen McElwain, and I'm currently the director of the one of the two programs that we're going to talk about this morning, Construction and Project Management. It's a master's program, and it's the sister program of the one called Building Information Modeling and Project Management. So the CPM, the Construction Project Management program, it began about 16 years ago. There was a recognition that for civil engineers or architects, or those who had been trained in a normal undergraduate degree, a lot of those folks were going into project management and were needing additional skills that aren't taught as part of a technical degree. So the BIM program then was started about 6 years ago with the realization from industry that a lot of the movement in the industry is towards digital skills, building information modeling, and we wanted to incorporate that as a specific program. So as I said, we take in, it's a postgraduate program. So the folk that we take in already have a degree. Mostly we get in architects, civil engineers, planners, people from a construction background, mostly quantity surveyors. We get mechanical engineers, building management folks, and so on. Many of them have already got a few years in industry, not all. Some of them have got significant, maybe even 10 years or more experience, and they come to us wanting an edge in project management. As David has said, the growth in the program has been quite steady in the last few years, especially. And particularly, we get a lot of international students at the moment, largely from India and China, but also from other nations in the Middle East and Africa and South America. Our intake this year was 141 students. 117 of those are international students. And they're the ones that particularly are interested in this internship program or enrolled in the internship program that we're going to talk about. Just as an overview, the course, it's the full-time course we teach 2 days a week, Mondays and Fridays, and it runs over 12 months. But students can also take it on a part-time basis, where they'll take Mondays classes on the first year, Friday classes on the second year, and then there's a 6-month period of where they do their research project. Both courses are accredited by the Joint Board of Moderators of the Institution of Civil Engineers, by CIOB, and by RICS. There's an S missing off that. In terms, I'm not going to go into the detail of what each program contains. I mean, the information is on the Queen's website, but just to pick out a couple of things, because what is actually construction and project management about? The foundational part of it is a module called Project Management Planning and Control, where we take students through the basics of project management, time, cost, scheduling, quality, risk assessment, and so on. Many or most of those skills are actually not even specific to construction. They're general to project management. And a number of our graduates go off not into the construction industry, and they would go into other industries as project managers. But that's a foundational module, and as part of that, then the students are taught to schedule. They're given a sort of a dummy construction project, and they have to program it using Microsoft Project. So we try to keep all of these. This is not a theoretical course. These are all very practical subjects. For example, the procurement and contract administration, it is what it says. The students on that course go through the different procurement the contract types and also the procurement models, but that culminates in a dummy procurement, actually a bid, where students in groups would respond to a tender, and they'd actually go through the whole procurement process, culminating in an interview panel after they've submitted their tender documents. Construction economics and construction finance looks a bit at the global context of construction, which is quite interesting, but also culminates in a test where students are working for a company which wants to partner on a project with another construction firm, and we take them through how to assess the financial strength of the potential partner firm using the publicly available financial information that's available. So it's practical. I'm not going to go through all of those. Construction law is an optional module that some students take. That actually goes through an arbitration process where students have to take the two sides of a dispute and make the arguments, and that obviously is in the context of that's taught by a construction lawyer. Actually, a practicing construction lawyer comes in. We also have a module on leadership, which is something we introduced recently, based on demand from some of the firms that our graduates go to. And they said, look, our students all come in to do management of people and teams. So we introduced this module where the students then spend 4 weeks in groups together, working out how to resolve conflict, how to do negotiation, how to come through a task together, holding the team together, but also delivering an output. And I've just been reading some of the reflections on the process that they did just before Christmas. And even students who have done 10 years in practice in industry and have probably done some CPD training in teamwork and leadership, they all feel that exercise where they're not just thrown in together to the group assignment, but they're coached through it. They all felt that they benefited something from that. We also give, even in the CPM program, we also provide some awareness of some of the BIM tools and the digital tools that are up and coming. Now, the sister program is the BIM, the Building Information Modeling and Project Management. It's a separate program, but they also take some of the core of the common modules that I've just talked about: the project management, the procurement, construction economics, and also sustainability, which is a core module. But this course then focuses on some of the digital tools that are coming in. Their module on BIM in practice takes them through how to develop, well, what are the standards and regulations at the moment in the UK for digital, for construction, for BIM. And also then what are the steps to develop a BIM implementation plan to level 2, which is quite practical. The core of this course is the technical BIM implementation, where we don't teach students from scratch how to use BIM tools. We're not a technical training college. Students would tend to come to us with some experience in an office, but we take them through how to use Revit, the software tools Revit, Navisworks, and Synchro for costing, for programming, and basic for project management. We're not teaching designers here. We're teaching folk how to use these tools to manage a project, particularly costing, scheduling, and they will develop then a building model and use it to look at 4D, 5D scheduling and costing in that module. So we try to keep, let me see what I've said there. Yes, the BIM program itself doesn't have an industrial internship, but our graduates from it are available to work on their postgraduate student visa that Helen's going to talk about later once they graduate. Now, we try to keep things up to date and not get into the detail of who is teaching on it really. Ron Coates has been on the course. He's been the mainstay of the tuition for the last 10 or so years. Ron has about 100 years experience in contracting with Charles Brand and the Lagan Group, and he came to Queen's towards the end of his career. Tara is on the call today. She is a practicing architect and has but spent the last few section of her career before joining Queen's as a bid manager. So she's into the procurement and the bid side. She runs the BIM, she directs the BIM program. I'm a civil engineer by background. My career was mostly in the consulting side of things, mostly overseas on larger projects, right through from the planning and design stages, right through construction and operation. And Shanghai and Faris are really leading on the digital side, and Faris came to us just last year. He'll speak in a few minutes. But we also bring in folk from outside in order to keep the course up to date and fresh. So we have people coming in every year from RPS to talking about monitoring, environmental monitoring of construction projects. Faithful and Gould are coming in this year to talk both about managing carbon and the new requirements that are coming in on that, and also on larger projects, how to set up a project management office and what the issues are in a larger project. We have folk coming from Mace and Felix O'Hare who teach some of the digital construction side of things. We have a legal expert who was from Quig Golden. He's now with I've just forgotten the name of the company that he's now with, and people come in from Todd Architects and from AECOM on both finance side and the digital construction side. So we're not a theoretical, although it's an MSc program. We're trying to serve the industry and be current and up to date. So what's the actual product? Our graduates are ending up then, obviously from what I've just said, understanding the principles of project management, planning, programming, scheduling, procurement and bid management, working together in teams and solving problems. Some of them will have negotiation experience on the legal side, and everybody covers what are the sort of sustainability issues that are coming up. And depending on the modules that are taken, particularly on the BIM digital side, our students will also, some of them will have more detailed awareness of how to use Navisworks and Synchro for project management and for costing, how to take the digital side right through up to 4D and 5D BIM, and good exposure to some of the tools that are coming in, and use of drones, use of lasers for measurement, and so on, right into the construction phase. So I think that we're producing folk who do have a project management edge. And then, just as I finish, where the rubber hits the road, it's the people that we actually produce. So Bakhtiar there on the top left, he came to us from Indonesia, actually from more than 10 years experience as a project manager in the port side of things in Indonesia. He got a distinction with us. He did very, very well. And he went back and got a big promotion, and he's now really quite senior in a port operations company in Indonesia. Akshay came to us, did the internship, not with the MOD, but he visited us just in December there. He's now contracted by the Ministry of Defence in England on some larger construction projects, not just in the UK. Mohammed, I've said there, he's an engineer with EDF, but he's a project manager actually on one of the big power station works in the south of England. Sam, we went to visit. We took a field trip to Toronto, to Canada, a couple of years ago. Sam graduated from us a number of years ago, and he's now vice president in a big steel fabricator that operates all over North America. And just as an example, they're desperate for our graduates. He hosts us every time we take a trip to Canada. He hosts us in order to find out who our good graduates are that he can then try and persuade to come and work in his company. He's taken several of our graduates in the last few years. Jacob came to us a few years ago on the digital side, and he's now working with Mace in Dublin. And Rachel graduated just last year, again leading on the BIM side, BIM for design, and she's gone into McLaughlin and Harvey to lead on their digital side. So that's our product. That's who we're producing. And it was interesting. I was saying to somebody recently, these guys come to us as students, some of them with not so much experience, and typical students, confused, not reading the instructions properly, needing an extra week for their assignment, not showing up on time. but they as they leave us, they really have been transformed. And as I said, some of these folk came to visit us last December, and I was really impressed that five guys, Indian guys, had come over from London to see us for graduation, and they're not students anymore. They're professionals. They're tidy. They're busy. They're confident. Complete transformation from the people that we get in through the door on day one. So I was really, really impressed. And then just as I finished, if any of this has been interesting to you, and if you think actually some of our employees are now doing project management, they could do with some of this training. I just want to mention, we as I said, we have a full-time program, which is 2 days a week. We also do it part-time. So you could do a day release for some of your folk, and they could do our program over 2 years. You could also apply for a higher level apprenticeship, which is where the government department for the economy here has some funding, which would fully cover the costs of a student from an eligible company and an eligible employee of yours who wanted to do our program on a part-time basis. That would take 2 years plus a half on their practical project. The industrial internship's not covered by this, but it's the other way around. That would cover one of your employees that wanted to come to us. We've had several students from local companies in the last. We only started this, and this is the 3rd year. So we've had students from employees rather from Farron's, Macadam, Amy, Gilbert Ash, John Graham, coming and doing our program, and then going back in. Obviously, still working part-time with the company as they study. So anyway, I've put the link there to check that if you're interested in us. So that's the program. That's what we're delivering. And I'm now going to hand over to Faris, who runs the internship side of things, which is what you're here to hear about. Okay, Faris.
Yeah, hello, good morning, everyone. I'm Faris Waraish. I'm a lecturer in construction project management to QUB and the internship coordinator. So what I'm going to speak about actually the process, what are the requirements of the internship, and what are the advantages that you will get as a company from internship student. So now I'm going to speak about the requirements. So first of all, we expect actually students to stay around 36 weeks in the internship place, so or 9 months, but this is the minimum duration. Students usually they have 1 year visa after they finish the 1 year master, but we give them around 2 months from this 1 year to convert the internship place. After this, they have around 10 months valid in their visa to do the internship. After 9 months, the students will be required to submit the internship report and the presentation. During this 36 weeks, the company will be in touch with us every 2 weeks. So actually, we don't allow all students that registered for internship to start internship. We just allow really good, very good students who achieve at least 55% in all modules and dissertation to start the internship. We want all the time to provide for companies. The good students, they really showed a very good appreciation to the course. So after they started already the program, we at the university or at the program lecturers still in contact with these students. We are happy all the time to provide any help for the students. The company will be required every 2 weeks. Automatically, you will receive like a message, email to ask you to fill a very short form. We did this year to make it very easy for the company to just send us email, to monitor, to send us like whether students actually attend regularly, with what are the students' states now in the company. Regarding the salary, the regulation actually from the university asks the company to pay the minimum, at least the minimum salary, which should cover the students' living cost. The minimum is 21,000 per year. However, for some cases, sometimes we accept 19,000, 20,000. It's not a problem at all, but at least we should make sure the students' living cost is totally covered by the salary. Students doesn't pay himself or herself for the living cost. This is a university regulation. Regarding the role that students can do inside the company, it should be because we are accredited from RICS and CIP. The role should be management role, but it's not just only construction management. It can be any engineering project management. Later in this presentation, I'm going to speak about what kind of roles that we accept for this program. So, Stephen. Yeah, regarding the accepted rules, as I said, we accept any project management role, whether construction or engineering management. This can be assistant project manager in any engineering field or graduate project manager. Actually, the title of the role can be changed according to the hierarchy of the company. We totally understand, we totally accept this. We just care more about the job description regarding what are activities or tasks that students, internship students, is going to conduct during the internship period. Or students can work as a planner or assistant planner, commercial manager, cost engineer, cannot be titles as a quantity surveyor because the accreditation bodies will ask us to have a management, a project management role. So we can have the cost engineer. I know it's a part of quantity surveying sometimes, but we can accept it as a cost engineer role. Also, students can do any site management role, assistant site manager or graduate site manager, contract manager. Students also can work as a cost control engineer. We accept this. Students can have a role as a commissioning engineer. But what I want actually to highlight now something about BIM. During the last few years, we started to give students opportunity to study some BIM modules in actually for CBM students. So what was the reason for this? As we do understand, there is a lack, there is a challenge in the market to fill the BIM roles, particularly for micro and small, medium-sized companies. I'm speaking about this because actually I come from BIM background more than CBM. So we do understand actually small and micro-sized companies, they are really facing a problem regarding find capable and competent BIM engineers. So we started to enable the CBM students to study a completed module, which is actually accredited from PRE, which is called BIM in Practice. In this module, during the 12 weeks, students, they get all theoretical and practical knowledge that they need to work as a BIM manager, BIM coordinator, or assistant or project information and delivery managers. Some of our students, as I'm going to show you later, actually they did internship in BIM and they are now sponsored by their company. It was a very good example about really students from CBM with this module, with the BIM practice module. They can take a role in BIM and they can succeed. They can actually succeed in their position. So, Stephen? Yeah. What are the advantages actually you can get as a company? You can get some advantages. You will get an energetic, enthusiastic graduate person. I want to say actually this is not a placement. This is internship. The main difference, we provide students that can work directly as a graduate engineer in any company, but because some students really they want to have 2 years masters for some considerations regarding their home countries or something like that, they prefer to have this internship year. So you will get someone who can really work probably with you as a full staff member, not a placement person that you need to pay more attention to the training. You have someone who is really ready to start to involve in the process with you. The internship, most of internship students are, as Stephen said, are international students, mostly Indian students. They prefer to continue working with the company if there is an offer from the company. So this can be a long year interview. It's very important for companies all the time to really see whether the students or the new staff can be very useful to the company or not. You have this 1 year, 9 months, students will be from 9 to 10 months at a long year interview. So it's really good opportunity for all companies. Also, student after the student has around 10 months in the student visa to work in internship, but after they finish now for the new UK visa, students will be able to get more 2 years post-study visa. So if you are micro or small companies, you don't need to care more about the sponsorship license. You will have the students for around 3 years without applying for any sponsorship license and taking this path. You have someone for 3 years, which is really a good opportunity. As I said, particularly if you care to adopt building information modeling now, particularly level 2 in your projects or in your company, it's really good opportunity to have some stuff with the salary, as I said, like we can accept for the internship year for 21,000 and to start to build a team from those students. Yes, Stephen? Yeah. Over the last 4 or 5 years, we have some companies that usually got some students from us, and some of the students, they continue actually working with this company. We have Melio Utilities, we have McLaughlin and Harvey, we have Amy, we have Portview Fit Out. As you can see from the list, we have different companies from different, the same sector as the construction, but they have different actually specialists. Why? Because we have students, they already, some of our students, they come from their countries with a long years experience. Some of our students, they come from 5, 6 to 10 years experience. They have good practical knowledge. They just come to get some, you know, to promote their career. So when they go for internship, because their previous experience, they can find different positions in different places. And as long as I said, the students will have some of management role included in the job, we accept actually the role. As I'm going to show you in the next slide about some of these students, I want just to start by from actually left to right. Afzal actually working in Pelway in Kent. As you can see from this slide, students, they can do either in Northern Ireland, they can go to the GB, the Great Britain, they can go back home. We accept students to go home and to do their internship. Examples about this, most of the Chinese students, they do internship, they prefer to go home and they do the internship. During the last few years, some of these students, they really got very good positions after they finish the internship. Some of them now, they are doing something about like they are executive managers for some very good companies after they finish their internship. And the success rate actually was around 99%. Most all, actually, I can say all students, they do the internship, they do a proper job during the internship. And actually, regarding a good example about students who did internship in BIM, and now she is actually sponsored by her company. She is working in Merit of Site Specialist. Her name actually is Shanbevi. She is working in Newcastle as a BIM manager now. She finished her internship just around 2 months ago, but when we met her during the graduation, she told us, I and Stephen, she is already in the process of sponsorship. The company told her, don't apply for a work study, for the post-study visa. They already offered her the tier 2, or what is called now skilled worker visa. Just I wanted to say, like from our experience with the students over the last 3-4 years, most of the students, they were really useful to their companies. They did a very good job inside their companies. They promoted some of the companies' knowledge and practical sides, because as I said, like we update really the course year to year. For example, because I come from more digital background, so we started all to think about, okay, they are CBM students, we understand, but we started to provide them all new platforms, all advanced platforms. As Stephen already highlighted before, regarding planning and scheduling, we allow CBM students to study Navisworks, Synchro for advanced 4D planning and scheduling model, and 5D for costing model, and that's why when they move to their internship place or their workplace, they usually have something to provide and to do with the company. Regarding the time, currently we have around 12 students. They really need to confirm their internship place by end of March. Those are students started in January 2021. They are in the, they have just only around now 40 days to confirm their internship. So, however, we have the autumn students who started already in September 2021. We have around 58 students. They started already to apply for internship from the last month. We encourage students to start from now because, as you all know, the internship takes time to go for interviews. Sometimes there are more than one interview to confirm the internship place. So also we are we'll be happy if you want to have some contact with these students who are already applying also for the autumn intake. You have now our contacts. If you want to contact regarding the internship directly, you can contact me. Or if you have any inquiries regarding the CBM and BIM program, you can contact Stephen or Tara. And for student recruitment, you can also contact here one of our staff. So, Stephen. Now I think Helen is going to discuss the visa process for students and for those who study visa. So Helen can start. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Faris. Hi, everyone. My name is Helen McBrien, and I'm a Senior Immigration Advisor in the International Student Support Department at Queen's. And I'm going to chat to you today about the student and graduate route visas. But I'm going to start with the student visa, and I'll discuss this in relation to international internships. So if an international student is undertaking a 2-year master's course with an internship at Queen's, such as the MSc in Construction and Project Management, they require a student visa. And just to note, formerly this visa was called Tier 4 visa. So some of you may be more familiar with this term, but it changed back in 2020 to a student visa. A student visa is sponsored by the university and permits the student to come to the UK to study. But if the student's on a course with an industrial internship, and this is an assessed integral part of the course, the student visa will also cover this industrial internship as well. The visa is granted at the start for the duration of the study period and the internship period. So the students don't need to reapply for a visa when they're going on internship. Stephen, sorry. Thank you. So if an employer wants to confirm if a student is permitted to undertake an industrial internship, there's a few documents they can ask for. The first of these is from the university, and the school would provide this a letter confirming that the industrial internship is approved and it's assessed an integral part of the course the student is currently studying. And the letter would also include the start and end dates of the internship to ensure that you know this is when the student is allowed to participate. You can also ask for from the student for their BRP card, and this card, the biometric residence permit, allows you to confirm if the student's visa is valid for the duration of the industrial internship, and then you can ask for also the student's passport. And this combination of documents allows an employer to carry out their mandatory right to work checks. So if a student visa permits the student to work full-time during the internship, And there's no working hour restrictions. So quite often we would be asked by employers, what are the working hour restrictions during the full-time internship? But if this is improved part of the course, there are actually no restrictions. Quite a few of you will pick up that the visa will say on it that the working hours are restricted to 20 hours during term time, but this actually doesn't apply during an approved internship that's part of the student's course. And Queen's remains the student's visa sponsor for the duration of the internship. And we're required to make a report to UK Visas and Immigration to let them know that the student is participating in an internship and working full time at your organisation. Next slide, please, Stephen. Thank you. So now I'm going to move on to chatting about the graduate route. So the graduate immigration route is a new post-study work visa that was launched back in the summer of 2021. And this is a really positive step that the UK government took, because it enables international students to work or look for work after their studies for 2 or 3 years, depending on the level of their course. The work can be in any sector at any level, and there's actually no minimum salary requirements. And this visa doesn't need sponsored by an employer because it's a non-sponsored route. The students can apply for this visa after they've successfully completed their degree programme. So the application for the graduate route visa costs £700, and then there's a charge for the immigration health surcharge of £624 per year of the visa. But there's actually no employee or employer fees associated with this application, because these fees are paid by the graduate at the time of the application. So as I've said, graduate route visa holders will be able to work or look for work in any sector at any level, and this visa also permits self-employment. The graduate route visa, once it's issued and granted, it'll be granted, say, usually for 2 years. It can't be extended at any point, and graduates only get one opportunity to apply for this or to hold this visa, so they can't apply for it multiple times. If they do multiple courses, they only have one opportunity to hold it. And if they do find a suitable job in the UK and their employer wishes to sponsor them, they can apply for the skilled worker route while holding this visa in the UK. And just some key points here that I wanted to highlight. There's no need for employer sponsorship because this is an unsponsored visa route. The maximum employment length is 2 years for most students, and it would be 2 years for students undertaking an MSc or that have successfully completed. There are no employer fees related to either sponsorship or the visa application, and there's no minimum salary requirement except for the national minimum wage, and no minimum job skills level. So just then to summarise, so if a student is undertaking a 1-year internship under a student visa and applies for the graduate route visa, these visas combined permit you to employ the student for a total of nearly 3 years before employee sponsorship is required. So the first year would be on the internship, and that would be Queen sponsoring onto the student visa, and the second 2 years is under the graduate route, and that would be under the graduate route, which is non-sponsored visa. So this really does allow employers to see how an employee is developing before they have to commit to sponsoring the student under the skilled worker visa route. Thank you very much. I'll now pass over to Mark, who's going to help with the Q&A session. Thank you.
Just before Mark jumps in, I'm maybe try and summarize up some of the key things that at least I've taken away. So thanks everybody for giving that overview of the programs within Queen's. Hopefully everybody has seen the offering and understands the types of activities that would be undertaken within that. And I personally think it's quite an exciting program, and it's certainly seen an awful lot of successes, as Stephen and others have highlighted, in terms of the students being able to go back out into various different companies around the world and really developing successful careers on the back of that educational experience. Hopefully then, if you've had internships of your own or students from Queen's, then you've seen that quality as well. But if you do have feedback, please do send that to us. We're always very keen to sort of update our courses and to identify the opportunities to make our students better and improve that. What we've also seen here is that it really is an opportunity for some of the best talent from around the world to come and maybe work within your companies. There's a real opportunity now with that visa route to have a student come in for 3 years, to undertake work. It is an investment, and may as well make it the best return on that investment. And the first year of that is sponsored by Queen, so a lot of that risk, if there is risk, and anybody who's done recruitment and so on knows there's risk in terms of being able to deal with people, that risk comes with the university. So there's a year there where we can work together to resolve any issues that would come through. So it is a fantastic opportunity. And then after that, through that program, you would have an opportunity then to identify whether or not those students could stay on or should stay on, and hopefully they will stay on with your companies in order to be able to maximize the return on that investment. Faris has identified that there are students who are available now. So we have 12 students in the program who are available now to be able to start moving into positions if they are there. And I know, and Mark pointed it out very early on in the conversation, that we know that there's difficulties with recruitment at the minute. So if there are opportunities for you and you feel that you could use and work with the university in order to be able to fill those gaps, then please do get in contact with us, because we do have students now. We will also have another 58 or so students coming through later on this year. So again, a really good opportunity for early engagement to work with that. So just want to thank Mark for organizing everything, and thank the team from Queen's for a set of excellent presentations. So maybe now back over to you, Mark, and we can have the Q&A. I know there are some questions here already.
Yes, indeed, David. No, thank you very much for that. So we do have a few questions. Fairly high-level question. This one, but it is interesting. How many or what percentage of the international students remain in Northern Ireland post-qualification?
I don't know, Faris or Stephen, could you answer that?
No. Yeah, well, the short answer is I don't have the percentage available at the moment. To be honest, it's more likely, not very many will stay in Northern Ireland. It's much more likely that they would stay with companies in London. A lot of them, the market here is a lot less than it is in London. So a lot of them these are mostly Indian students. They already have family and connections in London. A lot of them would end up in London and stay on. And I showed some of the examples of folk that we know are staying on into their post-study work visa. How many stay on beyond? I mean, most of them stay in the UK for the 2 years that Helen mentioned. How many stay on beyond the 2 years? I don't know that we have the information on that. In terms of Northern Ireland, we know of a number that have stayed on post-internship with their company, at least for the 2 years, but I don't know the figures.
Yeah, I think just want to say for internship students, most of them, as I can see from the record, they actually stay sometimes with the company. Most of them actually were sponsored by their companies, and after 3-4 years, they might move to, as you know, this is a normal progression in the career. They might move to another company in Northern Ireland, or might move to any other company in GB. So I mean, but majority of them actually they prefer to stay and progress with their companies where they are really sponsored and got their internship confirmation.
Yeah, I suppose, if I was just to add a little bit to that, I'd say, I work with international students a lot, and many of them do want to stay in Northern Ireland. but they are also very aware of the market opportunities, which tend to be greater elsewhere, and UK mainland would offer a lot of those opportunities, and so they will go with those. And in part, one of the reason for this conversation today is almost to increase the available opportunities for students to actually take up opportunities within Northern Ireland. So it's a really good opportunity for everyone to work together to maximize that. So that's what I'll stop there.
Okay, thanks all for that. We've possibly covered up again already the point of how many of the international students remain with the same company with whom they've had the placement. And I know there can be a lot of reasons why they do and why they don't, but have you a sense of how many remain with the same company that they were placed with?
Back to you, Faris. I think you'd started to answer that question, so yeah.
Yeah, actually, how many, it depends on the year, because number of students change from year to year. But again, as I said, like from the record, as I can see, the majority of students actually for internship are Indian students. Not the majority, 100%, I think, who stay in Northern Ireland or in UK are Indian students, but because other internship Chinese students, they prefer to go back home and do internships there. So I think, as I said, like all Indian students, they receive the internship in Northern Ireland companies. Most of them, they actually stay.
The postgraduate study work visa that we mentioned has only been reintroduced. So there was a gap for a number of years since I came to Queen's where that wasn't available. So it wasn't possible for the graduate to stay on with the company without the company sponsoring. However, we do know of at least, I know of several companies where the company was so impressed with the graduate that they sponsored, in the absence of the postgraduate study work visa, the company sponsored. We visited McLaughlin and Harvey in London, and they had an internship, one of their projects there had an internship student that they were very impressed with, and they ended up sponsoring that student themselves to stay on. So that's one indication of success. It's obviously student dependent as well.
Yeah, and I think also because most of these students, they got their internship from this company. So I think by nature, at least they will stay 3-4 years more to get the experience, because experience is very important for these students. And they build for sure a good relationship all the time with the company, because most of companies are in most of our internship students, they prefer to go to companies, micro and small size companies, because we like this for them to get more and more experience. We all the time tell students, don't worry, don't go all the time to search for top 100 big construction companies, because you will have a very small role. But if you go for a micro and small company, they will really get a very good job. They will try all the time to train you. So I'm sure most of them, they stay like at least 3-4 years after they finish their internship, because it's all the time good for them and good for the company. So it's something that happens by nature all the time for any job.
That's great. No, thanks for that. And this may be the last question, but I suppose it sums things up very nicely. So you have 12 students who are imminently looking for placement and 58 coming. What does that process look like for a contractor approaching Queen's at this stage? What is the process to, firstly, I suppose, identify candidates? Is there an interview process? I suppose you need some comfort as to the quality of the contractor, for example. So what do you require from the contractor? And what does the process look like for the contractor to select candidates for placement?
Well, to be fair with all students, we can provide the list for all students, and the companies will feel free to, if they want me to send CVs, I will be happy to send CVs, but we will not really interfere in the selection process, because they are all our students. We don't want to have the favoritism issue. So we will just provide all names. I can provide all details regarding fees. I can all the time also work with the company to make sure requirements are really valid, so we don't have any delays problem. Once they already confirmed the position, we can just directly in one day finish all processes from Queen's side, and students can start directly. particularly for the newer students, because we understand that they have to get everything done by end of March. So I will be happy to just provide any required information regarding students, and if they want me to involve later after the selection to make sure the internship application is clear and valid for Queens, we'll be happy to do this.
If I may jump in, I'm sure the school probably would be quite open to maybe hosting or maybe a conversation between the company and the students. I'm sure that something could be set up whereby the company could obviously advertise that opportunity out to the current cohort and maybe speak to them directly, and then obviously the university can facilitate any follow up in terms of opportunities then that would come down.
That's great. Okay, well, listen, unless from your side, David, anybody wants to make any further remarks, I would say that is all the questions that have been raised, but I know there may be other questions people may have. So we will circulate the slides after the event, and your contact details are all there. But we wish you well. We wish your students well. I think there's great synergy. There's great opportunity here. We do have a need in the sector for talented individuals to join us. I particularly made a note about the element of BIM, which is included in your courses and the specific course in BIM, and that is a growing demand and feature locally as well. So thank you all very much. Appreciate the efforts and the outreach to the industry. That is very much appreciated. Let's keep in touch, and we thank you again for your time today, and everybody else for logging in. Hopefully you find it useful, and we will circulate the details to keep in contact with Queens, and we wish you all well. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.